Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. It's been a while since I have done an update on my Scindapsus collection, and I have gotten quite a few new ones since then. So I figured it was about time. I am in Pennsylvania right now and probably missing my Scindapsus. The kitties are with me, so I'm not missing them. Hopefully they did well on the 3-day road trip. I feel like he's gonna be fine, but I'm a little worried about Saffron. That's okay. This video is about Scindapsus, and I am loving how my Scindapsus collection is turning out, and I just wanna shout from the rooftops as much as I can how amazing Scindapsus are to collect. I feel like they're still a bit underrated, even though more people are catching on to how beautiful and easygoing they are. So this is just another opportunity for me to show y'all how great Scindapsus are. I'm gonna let Nutmeg go, give him a few treats. He's probably gonna nap on the day bed or cuddle with Luna and just be so cute and such a good boy, but we'll see him later. He's being so good right now. But we gotta say bye. The first Scindapsus that I wanna show off is the one that is not on this shelf. And I'm not gonna show off the ones that are in my living room at this point because they're all super common and I don't take care of them quite as well as I do the plants in this room. I think it's just an Exotica, an Argerius, and a Silverian, nothing crazy. So we're gonna leave those out of probably all the future Scindapsus update videos, but this is my Platinum and it's still crazy. It's still kind of insane. And I just feel like I'm never gonna catch up with getting this plant tamed, unfortunately. I'm trying my best. Every few months I'm able to take a few more cuttings of the plant, but it never really works out. And I'm really trying because I would like to get it to a place where it's not so scraggly one day, but it is what it is. It's very unfortunate. And it is so far rooted into this moss pole in the back that it would probably be a mess to take out of the moss pole. So we're trying. We're really trying. It looks crazy, but this is truly the one Scindapsus that grows like a weed. Even the places where I've chopped it, it's growing again. It's already grown a couple leaves here from the last time I chopped it a couple months ago. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop growing. So I'm just gonna keep at it. I'm gonna keep chopping it. I'm not gonna completely give up, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna get it to a place where it looks perfect and beautiful and just growing straight up a pole like the rest of these. I really let this one go wild, and it really is. It's a wild plant, but it's still kind of neat. It's got beautiful leaves. It's just really, really messy. The rest of them pretty much live here, and I have one here, so I'm just gonna go through them one by one, and we'll go through them and how each one is doing. The first one is the Jade Satin Aurea. This is my only Aurea variegated Scindapsus, actually. I don't have too many variegated ones, but this is the only one with yellow variegation, and it's doing great, clearly. It's got a beautiful new leaf. I am almost at a point where I think I can get the vine more attached to the moss pole. It just has a very tight internodal spacing in here, so I don't want to disturb any of the leaves. I'm really hoping maybe once it grows one more leaf, I can do that. But I'm also a little worried because I want to avoid a runner situation. The only thing that's difficult about Scindapsus is that they will put out runners so easily. Even if you do everything right, sometimes they'll put out a runner. So I try my best to avoid that. This plant I bought in July of last year when I went plant shopping with Jacqueline at the plant ward in Massachusetts. So this has some sentimental value to me, and I'm just so happy that it's doing really well. It went back on the plane with me. It took a long time to acclimate, and now it's growing pretty steadily. So that is really cool to see. I don't know, it was pretty small when I got it, so I don't really see too many roots growing on the sides. There's an older one right here, but there's nothing new at the moment. It's just one vine, so it is technically a bit smaller than some of the other plants that I have. There's a bunch of cuttings mushed in together. That's just how they were when I bought them. So there's not gonna be as much root activity on this, but that means I won't have to repot it for a very long time, and I'm very happy about that. Speaking of runners, this is my Scindapsus Silver Lady, and it's basically just 2 runners at this point. And this is one plant that I really wish I had been on time with and had gotten it on a pole, I think it would look so beautiful climbing. I'm just not as big of a fan of these plants when they are trailing. I thought there was a third one in here, but I guess not. Oh, it's right here. This is the third one. So this one isn't really vined out yet. I would probably have to restart this almost entirely to get it climbing, which is a goal that I can have one day, but for now it looks pretty enough, at least up top trailing. But really, once they start growing runners, they grow super fast, and then you just have all of these nodes. This one I actually chopped back and took a few cuttings last year, and this is how much the runner has grown since. So they really just they love to put out runners if you have them trailing, which is why I can't do it. They look so much prettier climbing. So I hope this is a good comparison for you to see. I will forever be an advocate of putting these on a moss pole, getting them shingling or climbing in any way you can, because this is just so ugly to me. It looks so cute up top and then it's just ugly. I think it's still a beautiful plant. The leaves are gorgeous. It's a little bit different than the other mostly silver Scindapsus that I have. I just wish that I had been on top of this. I bought this at a time in my life when I was really not on top of my plant care, and this is what happens. So that's a goal for the future. If I have time, maybe we'll make a video out of it and do it together. But for now, I'm just gonna let it trail, and I'll occasionally take cuttings because it is really pretty and it's cute, and the cuttings grow super fast too. So it is a nice one, and I'll just keep chopping the runners back until I finally have the time and the space to get it on a pole. All right, so then the rest of these plants will be ones that come from the top of my Millsbow Wide. And this one is really interesting to me because it did something that I was not expecting it to do, and it's behaving quite like how my Marble Queen Pothos behaves and how my Variegated Heartleaf Philodendron behaves, where the variegation on the new leaves comes in this really strong white, sort of like this, but a lot of the leaves end up fading. The variegation fades to this more green on green look. And I did not notice that until I had this plant for several months. I got this at PlantCon in October. Yeah, so I've had it quite a while now, more than 6 months. And it was mostly white like this. So maybe it is something to do with the lighting, how it's growing. I'm really not quite sure because I don't have it in the highest light back here. I do have a floor to ceiling window in my plant room, but I don't have any grow lights on these plants. So maybe it is something to do with the lighting, but I was not expecting it to behave this way. The variegation is still noticeable, but it is much different than what I thought I was getting out of this plant. It's just been really interesting. It's still beautiful. I still love it. This one, you can really see, it just turned green. That was Half Moon variegated. So it's just been really interesting. It's just been a unique plant to follow. We'll see if that changes over time, or if when I eventually do move and it's in a different situation altogether, how that variegation continues. But I was not expecting that. So that's a little bit of a surprise. It's been growing pretty steadily. I'd say out of the 3 that I bought, the 3 Scindapsus at PlantCon, this one's been growing the most. It is 2 vines, so that is nice. And they're both growing right here. So it looks like a big cluster of plant at the top versus the rest, but it is growing pretty steadily. It's just been really unique to see because I don't even think in my last update it was quite this green, especially with how new most of these leaves are. The variegation is still pretty high. It's just not something that I was expecting when I first got this plant. This plant is an example of how you can do absolutely everything right, and a Scindapsus may still try to put out runners on you. So this is my Scindapsus peasun. I'm just going through all the plants that I got at PlantCon in a row, and this was the next one. And unfortunately, I've been really keeping up with filling the pole with moss, securing it with Velcro to the pole, and it is trying to put out runners. And I hate this look. I hate this. This is so ugly. It should be having growth with leaves on it. And there is a second growth point on the plant. It's actually working on what I think is a very highly variegated leaf down here. You see how white that looks? So I do have a portion of the plant that is growing really well, and that was the side with better variegation anyway, but I think I'm gonna have to chop this because I don't like this. This is exactly what I try to avoid. And it is the one and only thing I don't like about Scindapsus is their ability to put out runners like you wouldn't believe. But that is an opportunity for me to chop. So I do think in the next few months, I will be chopping up this plant. I don't think I'll chop it all the way back down. I'm gonna experiment because usually when I chop up a plant, I will chop it all the way down to the stump, the last node, and start it completely over. I think I'm gonna try something different and see how long it takes for the leaves to get back to normal size. It's not something I've done before, so I don't personally know how long that takes, and I would really like to see, you know, is it going to really hinder the leaf size for a long time and it takes half a dozen leaves for it to get back to where it was, or are we just gonna get one small leaf and then it jumps right back? So I'm probably gonna just chop it down to this leaf. So we've got a few nodes here. 1, 2, 3, there's one here, 4, 5, 6. So I'll chop down 6 nodes. There'll be cuttings. I don't think I will put them back in the pot, so they'll probably be available for purchase once they grow out a little bit. The variegation on that side of the plant isn't quite as good as the side that's growing properly, but the new leaf actually has got some good variegation. So I'll probably see how they grow out, how variegated they are, what's going on. I'll have a mix of a couple cuttings with leaves already, and then ones I'll have to start completely from a node. But it'll be a fun experiment at least. I'm a little disappointed because this one was my favorite of the ones that I bought at PlantCon. I just love the blue silver look with the white variegation the most. But it's an experiment, I guess. It's a learning lesson, and it's just goes to show that as easygoing as these plants are, they can still frustrate you a little bit. I really wish any other Scindapsus had done it but this one, but you live and you learn. Finally, the last one from PlantCon, and that is the Scindapsus green form, hask, snake scale, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the official name really is, so I just use them all interchangeably. But this plant truly wants to shingle more than any other Scindapsus in my collection. This plant is dying to shingle. It did not take much time at all, to the point where the leaves, so when it's shingling, they get very flat on the surface of the moss pole, and they just, I don't really know how else to describe it, but you can see it looks different than this. They get rounded, they look really flat, and they just really want to grow up the surface of whatever they're climbing, whether it be a tree, moss, bark, whatever. The leaves are looking a little smaller when they got rounder, which I wasn't completely expecting, but I think it's just really changing how it's growing, and maybe I'll get bigger leaves in the future as it grows up. They're not too much smaller. This one is still growing, so I'm hoping it gets a little bigger than it is right now, but I think they look so cute when they're round like this and they are shingling. It's such a difference from how elongated and pointy these leaves are. This is also such a unique Scindapsus in my collection in that it's not really silver. This is more of a lime green on the plant, and then I guess the background color is pretty dark, like my Jade satin. So I do like how unique this is. I do love that it's really committed to shingling from the get-go. I'm not as worried about runners from this plant because this is responding really well to being put on the moss pole, and I don't even know I'll have to use too much more plant Velcro on it in the future. So it's just doing really well. I'm really happy with it. It is in quite a big pot, so yeah, I don't see roots growing on the outside. I really upgraded the pot size on this one. It's got a pot to grow into, but I'm really happy that it's doing so well. Moving on, we're gonna get into some of the newer plants. I've got a couple of older ones left, but I also have a bunch that I bought this year. This is one of them. This is my Scindapsus Silver Cloud, and I bought this as basically a rooted cutting, and this was the new leaf. It wasn't completely hardened off yet when I bought it, but it's huge. Look at it in comparison to my hand. This leaf is a massive, and this was a top cutting, so I'm really looking forward to the new leaf. It is working on one right here to see what it looks like when it grows, if it's gonna continue to be this big, because this is insane. This is something I strive for with most of my Scindapsus, to get leaves this big, and to already start out with a plant that has leaves this big is awesome. I don't have too much to report on this one since it is newer, but I am really anticipating, and I can't wait to see what it looks like over the next several months because this leaf is already so big. Now for the big one, this is my Jade satin Scindapsus. The leaves are pretty big and they've continued to stay big, but I do have a problem. If I can show y'all, yeah, right here, it is starting to grow a runner, and I'm really not that behind on getting it on a pole, so I'm a little annoyed, or a pole extension. I'm a little annoyed that it's putting out a runner so quickly. I've had it pretty well trained up this pole, but it just goes to show that Scindapsus will do whatever they want. And if they want to put out a runner, they're gonna put out a runner. But it's still a beautiful plant. I'm really hoping I can get that fixed. There are actually 2 active growth points on this plant. Oh, this is the other one. So this is the newest leaf on this plant. So it is nice to have at least 2, because if I do end up having to chop the top of that back, I've got one growing really steadily here. I love the big pillowy leaves that Scindapsus can get. These are also pretty big. They're about the same size as the last plant, the silver cloud I showed y'all, about the size of my hand. So that is why I'm so excited about that one, because it's starting out where it took me years to get this plant to this point. So it definitely needs a repot. It is very flimsy in this pole because the pole is so long, and while the pot is ceramic, or terracotta, I guess. So it is a heavier pot. It's just not a very tall pot, and I think it's lending this to be pretty wonky. It really only exists because I lean it on the wall back there. It would just fall over if I had it standing on its own. So I do need to give this plant a little bit of TLC from a pole extension and just getting it in a better pot where the pole isn't gonna fall over. But either way, it is very healthy, it's very happy, and it is just, it's so cool to see how a Scindapsus can change over the years. This is the oldest climbing Scindapsus I have in my collection, and it has taken a lot of patience and just a lot of trust to get it to this point, but it is very rewarding, and that's why I've really gotten into Scindapsus in the past year and just collecting more of them. They're so easygoing. It is worth the wait to get them to this point, and this one is just, it's so cute. This will always be one of my favorites. Even though it is the most plain and basic Scindapsus out there, I love it. I love it so much. I can't help it. Moving on to my Wild Root Scindapsus. This is my Scindapsus Tricolor. It is one that I got very recently. This was the most recent plant that I've purchased this year. I got it in April, beginning of April, but still, I got it in April. So I haven't had it too long, and it basically was a huge group of lightly rooted cuttings. I think there's 5 different plants in this spot. So it's a little crowded right now, unfortunately. I think it'll still be okay, but it did put out a couple of new leaves since I got it. And I got it on here on the repot, on the pole, pretty early because I would like to encourage some nice growth, avoid runners if I can. Though as I just showed y'all, sometimes it is unavoidable. But I'm thinking the leaves are sizing up pretty nicely. They started out really small on this plant, but if you get a plant growing properly, they will size up pretty quickly, even Scindapsus. So not too much to say about it because I really haven't had this plant for too long, but so far it looks promising. This is another plant that I got this year and I repotted right away. This is my Scindapsus Blue Splash. I know some of these silvery blue Scindapsus tend to look pretty similar, which is why I have them all labeled. And I do think they all look at least different enough. I don't think I have any that truly are hard to tell apart. The closest would be this Blue Splash and the Silver Cloud, but this one is not as intense with the dark background color, whereas the other one I feel like is. This is more mottled, it's more blended. I think they look different enough. I don't know. Let me know if you think that they just look crazy similar and it's the same for Anthurium and Hoya and we're just all delusional about our plants looking different. But I think it looks different enough. It is a plant that really hasn't grown too much because I got it quite recently, but I did have enough room to really put it on the moss pole, and I think it's going to respond to that pretty well. repotted it right away. Like I said, we've got a couple new roots in there, but not too much. So I really think some of these newer Scindapsus are still acclimating because I bought them, put them in a new environment, potted them up pretty quickly, attached them to poles pretty quickly. So I think for a lot of these, there's just a lot of acclimation happening, but they're all doing really well and they haven't gone into too much shock and they haven't lost any leaves. So that's a plus. In my last Scindapsus update, this was a recent repot, and well, it has decided to put out a runner, which I'm not thrilled with because I've been on top of this one. It was responding really well to the repot because I was like, oh shoot, this looks like it could be runner territory, and then it put out this leaf. So I really wanted to get it on a pole, and I combined my two Maoris together, and then it immediately put out another runner. So this is a leaf. This is a leaf here. But as I said with some of the other plants, I really hate the look of runners, and I'm probably gonna chop this back. I just think that's what I'm gonna have to do because I don't like the look. I like when they look like that and it's just really full on the pole and leaves are pillowy or nice and they're shingling and whatever. I don't like this look. I like how it looks down here. But so much space. It looks like this is just one node of space in between, but really it's not. And it's not my favorite look. So this is gonna be another prop project this year, which is totally fine because the plant is healthy, it's happy. I haven't gotten any growth out of the other plant at the moment. So maybe that will do better. But I am thinking I am gonna take one of the cuttings from this and put it back in the pot. I think it could use a third one, and it'll look even more full, and then I'll have more chances for success without runners in the future for this. But I was so disappointed to see that this plant really just wants to put out runners. None of my other Scindapsus have really been so focused on putting out runners so quickly like this one. So we'll see, maybe I'll be able to encourage some nice variegation out of it also. But I am a little bit disappointed because literally the last update I did back in February, it looked so good, it was doing so well, and now it's just like, hello, I'm gonna put out runners for eternity. Doesn't matter what you do. So yeah, a little bit disappointed by this one, especially since I like it so much. I love the variegation on it, but yeah. So stay tuned for the next update. Hopefully it is doing better and is learning to behave and actually climb the moss pole instead of put out runners. Finally, the last Scindapsus. This one is behaving so far, unlike the Mayari. This is my Scindapsus Hallymoon. It is a newer Scindapsus to me. It did look like it was wanting to put out a runner, so I also repotted it basically as soon as I got it in my collection. It was a lightly rooted cutting pretty much. This leaf wasn't even fully unfurled and hardened off yet when I bought it. Got it on the pole, got it in the pot just like the others, and it did put out a new leaf right away. It still has to unfurl, but the internodal spacing is nice and short, which is what I'm looking for with these Scindapsus. It even could be a little bit longer than this. This one is super short, but I'm very happy that this one is behaving given how the other one isn't. Especially also since this is one of the more expensive Scindapsus in my collection. Same with the Mayari. I spent quite a bit on that one. So that thing better learn to behave soon. But this one is, and it's awesome. Like the other new Scindapsus, I don't have too much to report about this one. It just wasn't in the last video because I didn't have it yet. But I am very happy that I have been able to purchase more Scindapsus in 2025 and especially get at least one variegated one. I can't believe I've only gotten one. I would like to get more. I really like the variegated ones, especially with so much white or ones that are more of a blue silver color. So this one checked off those boxes. I think both of them. I can't really tell with just a couple of leaves, but it looks like the green parts have more of a blue tint to them. Hopefully in the next update, this one will be doing really well and climbing and won't be acting silly like the Mayari. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that, but I think I've set it up for success. So I hope that it behaves accordingly. So that is it for my Scindapsus updates. I'm really happy with how my collection has been growing, especially since the last video. I'll probably do another video update at least one more time this year because I love talking about my Scindapsus. I could talk about them all day. They're my favorite genus now, and I love expanding the collection. I love watching them grow, and they're just such a joy to have. They're so easygoing. The more I can promote them, I feel like the better, because I truly love them so much, and I feel like people are not talking about them how they should. But if you like this video, make sure to give Nutmeg and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.